Today, we are examining the Last Keyboard Manifesto, a compelling operational document outlining a system where AI handles the heavy lifting of production while humans bookend the process with emotional intelligence and judgment.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating piece of work.
It is. So let's dive straight into how this piece can be strengthened. The rhythmic structure of the material relies too heavily on staccato, single-line paragraphs, which unintentionally blunts the impact of its most powerful philosophical statements.
Right. And that's the classic formatting trap, honestly. Like, the weakness here is that the document uses the exact same punchy, fragmented rhythm for profound, high-level maxims as it does for mundane operational lists.
Exactly. Because everything from, the visionary claim that humans are the new software to the granular tasks of an AI intelligence manager is formatted as a climax.
Yeah, when every sentence stands alone and shouts for attention, the truly important insights just get lost in the noise, right?
Oh, totally. It makes the piece feel breathless rather than authoritative.
It really does, because when you think about it, visual white space on a page actually dictates emotional weight. Like, it forces a cognitive pause.
Right.
But if the entire page is mostly white space because of single-line sentences, the brain just habituates to it. You experience structural fatigue.
It kind of reminds me of a symphony, right? Like, if every instrument plays at maximum volume the entire time, there can be no crescendo.
Oh, that's a perfect way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if we smooth out these tactical sections, do you think it might actually make the manifesto feel more confident and mature?
Oh, absolutely. The suggestion here is to introduce pacing variability by using standard, flowing prose for the tactical and operational sections, and just saving the staccato single-line formatting exclusively for the core doctrines you want the reader to remember.
Okay, yeah. Let's look at a concrete example for that. So, in the document, if you look at the For Operating Actions section,
Mm-hmm.
take the bulleted list under the Collect stage, which covers facts, stories, opinions, goals, that sort of thing, and rewrite it as a cohesive, flowing paragraph describing the breadth of the intake process.
Right. Just weave those elements into a dense narrative block.
Exactly. Then, immediately follow that flowing paragraph with the isolated single-line sentence. The objective is not to force humans into perfect form.
Oh, wow. Yeah, by grouping the tactical details into a traditional paragraph, that single line will land with massive impact.
Because the reader gets that sudden breath of white space back.
Right. It forces them to stop and feel the weight of the philosophy, which is exactly what the author wants.
Yeah, it shows editorial restraint. But speaking of things that disrupt the authority of the text, let's move on to our next major area.
Let's do it.
The sudden introduction of a hyper-specific, low-tier pricing model disrupts the overarching visionary authority of the text.
Yeah, that was a really jarring moment to read.
It really is. The weakness is this moment of severe cognitive dissonance halfway through the document. The piece spends pages successfully establishing Last Keyboard as this massive, paradigm-shifting infrastructure capable of managing complex production pipelines with human intelligence pods.
Right, you're floating in this high-level organizational doctrine.
Yeah, but then, out of nowhere, dropping the specific $24/7 setup and $8 weekly price squarely into the middle of this doctrine. I mean, it makes a revolutionary intelligence network suddenly sound like a budget software-as-a-service subscription.
It really undercuts the premium philosophical tone the author has so carefully built up until that point.
It completely shifts your brain from visionary mode into, household budgeting mode.
Yeah, exactly.
But, let me play devil's advocate for a second here.
Okay, go for it.
Is it possible the author included this specific price to intentionally shock the reader with how affordable this powerful tech is? Maybe that democratization is the whole point?
Oh, I mean, that was almost certainly the author's exact intent. It's a classic disruption tactic, right? Showing that a massive technological moat can be accessed for literally pennies.
Right, yeah.
But the issue is that the shock factor is just better suited for a sales landing page or maybe a pitch deck, rather than a foundational constitution.
Right, because this is titled a manifesto.
Exactly. When you anchor the immense value of human judgment to the price of a cup of coffee inside a manifesto, you kind of commoditize the entire philosophy. You can achieve that exact same intellectual shock without sacrificing the brand prestige.
So how do we fix that? What's the move?
The suggestion is to decouple the grand operational philosophy from the immediate retail pricing. Reframe this section purely as a conceptual intake gate or, an accessibility threshold rather than attaching a static dollar amount to a timeless doctrine.
Right, because that specific price might change in a few months anyway.
Exactly.
So for a concrete example, instead of using the header, the project access model, $247 setup plus $8 per week, the author should revise it to something like the accessibility threshold.
I love that. And under that revised header, the author can still discuss the philosophy of a low barrier entry, right?
Totally. They can explain that accessible pricing exists to gather diverse human signals, force automation, and generate real-world learning.
Right. It preserves the intent, democratize access without locking the manifesto into a specific price point. That kind of cheapens the perceived value of those intelligence pods.
It keeps the majesty intact.
Exactly.
Which, honestly, transitions perfectly into how the document frames the value of the system itself, especially the machine elements.
Oh, this is a big one.
Yeah, our third point. The framework accurately anticipates human flaws in the collect and correct stages, but misses a crucial opportunity to address AI's inherent flaws in synthesis.
This was probably the most critical operational blind spot in the whole document.
Yeah. The weakness is that while the text brilliantly outlines how humans are messy, noting that they lie, they exaggerate, they omit things, it relies on AI to unquestioningly find contradictions and compare claims.
Right. It treats the AI synthesis in stage 2 as this infallible logic engine.
Exactly. It fails to account for artificial hallucinations, systemic bias, or, AI's tendency to just misinterpret cultural or emotional nuance.
Well, and by ignoring the fact that AI can confidently invent false realities, the document briefly contradicts its own core thesis that machines desperately need human judgment.
Right. And this brings up the whole concept of confident incompetence in large language models. Does the current framework accidentally place too much blind trust in the AI during the correction phase?
It absolutely does. Because large language models don't think in facts, right? They operate on probabilistic token prediction.
Right, they just complete the pattern.
Exactly. So if there's a gap in the data, the AI doesn't just say, I don't know. It synthesizes a highly articulate hallucination to bridge the gap. And because the output looks so perfectly organized, it creates a massive hazard.
So the human operator might just be lulled into a false sense of security and accept the hallucination as fact.
Exactly. But adding a layer of human skepticism toward the AI's supposed facts actually reinforces the human first, human last doctrine. It proves exactly why the human is the indispensable final layer of the software.
That's a really great point. So the suggestion here is to expand the human judgment responsibilities early in the production pipeline to explicitly include auditing the AI for confident incompetence, artificial bias, and false pattern recognition.
Yeah. Let's give the author a concrete example of how to implement that.
Okay, so in stage 2, under the human responsibility checklist, they should add specific actions. Like, instead of just review content, add something like identify AI hallucinations disguised as facts.
Oh, that's strong. And you could add something about preserving nuance, too. Like prevent AI from flattening necessary human contradictions into generic logic.
Oh, I like that phrasing, flattening necessary human contradictions.
Because that's exactly what an AI does by default. If a human subject has a messy, contradictory emotional reality, the AI's math tries to average it out into a generic, clean statement.
It sanitizes the humanity right out of the data.
Exactly.
And to push this even further, in the Stage 9 system learning debrief, they could add a mandatory question for the human operator. Where did the AI confidently misunderstand the human context?
I love that. It explicitly acknowledges the reality of working with language models. It creates this perfect symbiotic tension. Humans are messy, so AI organizes them. But AI averages that reality, so humans have to protect the nuance.
Right, and bringing that out in the text makes the manifesto so much more practical and self-aware.
Absolutely.
Well, to wrap up this critique, we focused on 3 strategic shifts to elevate this manifesto. First, vary the rhythmic formatting, using flowing prose for tactical sections and staccato lines for core philosophies to ensure the most important maxims land with impact.
Right. Avoiding that structural fatigue.
Exactly. Second, elevate the pricing model into a philosophical discussion about accessibility rather than citing specific, low-tier dollar amounts that undercut the visionary tone.
Reframing it as that accessibility threshold.
Yes. And finally, explicitly acknowledge AI's tendency to hallucinate during the correction stage to further solidify why human judgment is the ultimate necessity.
Which proves the whole human last point perfectly.
Exactly. Please implement these actionable suggestions, and we highly encourage submitting the revised work back to us for another round of feedback.